everybody, and welcome to today's episode of CCIR Student Research Spotlight. I'm Nell, and today it's my pleasure to welcome to the podcast Gordon, who is in his 11th grade in China. He worked with Professor Manlis during his time of CCIR, and his project is titled Nationalism and Cosmopolitanism in a Changing World. So welcome, Gordon. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, hello now, and hello everybody listening to the podcast. I'm Gordon, a ordinary 11th grader in China. Nice to meet you.
So I wonder if you could start just by telling us a bit about your project. Give us a summary of what it's all about.
Okay, so now what I am having of the lesson from the professor is about nationalism and cosmopolitanism in a changing world. And currently, my research topic is about the internal migration in China, which is a topic that I found very interested in since I was much younger than now, maybe 5 or 10 years before that. Before now, I found this particular question particularly interesting. And since that particular moment, I just started to wonder, oh, can I one day research on that particular thing? Yeah. So basically, that's what I'm doing right now.
Fantastic. And tell us a bit more about what it is you're researching specifically and some kind of key findings that you've landed upon.
Oh yeah. So basically my research dives into the impacts of the Chinese internal migration, which happens during the late 1970s and the early 1990s. And during these few years, or more than one decade, actually, um, the impact is quite significant from the political point of view and from the economic point of view, and especially from the, let's say, the social cultural point of view. And basically, what I found is that politically, it actually changes China's political function system from a closed system to one that is more open to changes. And in terms of the economic system, it works similarly because you know that back then China is not that kind of connected to the changing world and a little bit politically and economically landlocked, and there are no much connections. But actually, after this kind of revolution, what really changed is that we have introduced the capitalism um, point of view of how an economy can be derived. So, what the national leaders did next is to basically change China completely into a very active country with prosperity. Yeah, and social cultural impact is also another a very straightforward and significant aspect because it actually increased what we called in demographics the social mobility, and there are more people transferring from one place to another from the inner provinces to the cities that are actually um getting southward and kind of near the sea. So it's really a big change happening in China during the 15 years or so, I suppose. Yeah, so I think this kind of internal migration is really a big change in China, and I think it's very worthy to have a deep research on it. And I'm very passionate.
Yeah, wow, fascinating, absolutely incredible. I wonder how you found the experience of researching something quite politically sensitive within your own country, what your experience of that has been, and how you've gone about approaching it, and personally what you feel how it's helped you sort of connect to your country and to the history and the culture.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, actually, that is not that kind of politically incorrect, if I must say so, because although everyone know that in China there are kind of um limitations and kind of strict regulations on what you can be found in on the internet. What I did is actually not limited to most Chinese citizens because in China, actually almost every people value this change as a positive change, and the party actually values it a lot because it's actually one significant change and a significant um, work done by the party on the last century. So I think actually this is quite easy to find some kind of reviews or comments or analysis in Google Scholar. But yeah, I think there is some biases that when I am when I was researching, talking about my research approaches, I think the most important one will be just simply look for some information online because we have so limited time that we cannot do any kind of um quantitative research, which means you cannot collect data, do experiments, go on the street to have some kind of interviews. No, we cannot have that because our time period of research is actually strictly limited due to our school schedules. So what I did is just basically to do some kind of qualitative ones, which means you probably go on the internet and you just search for something that is information rich, and there are not particularly some kind of data, but there are many different kinds of descriptive things, such as the impacts of the Chinese migration and perhaps the causes of the Chinese internal migration. That sort of things. So I believe that what I'm doing is actually a kind of literature review, if you can accept that. But a literature review is basically about you have read tons of the past papers from um scholars all around the world talking about the similar topics, and then you want to conclude something that is unique to you, and you maybe found some patterns inside these papers, and you want to present them in a clear way that what did my predecessors all talk about. So yeah, this is what I'm basically doing because the impacts of the Chinese internal migration has been talked about it for such a long time that everybody can say a few. In China,
Mm.
I mean, so I'm basically what I did is trying to find a clear logic of how this internal migration is emerged and then evolved, and finally talking about the um aspects of this sort of things. Yeah,
Yeah, brilliant. So it sounds like there's a lot of sort of synthesis of all kinds of all different information from years
yeah.
involved in your project. That's really cool. So I wonder, obviously the title of your project is Changing World. I wonder how you feel your experience with CCIR has perhaps contributed to you changing a little corner of your world, and how you feel that research such as your project is important for the development of society.
Oh, definitely. I mean, before I having this project with CCIR, I had never thought that I am capable of writing a full-length research paper and conduct a intense research in just perhaps the the time of a month. So I think CCIR really broadens my worldview of how different people can collaborate together, and how you can be educated by different kind of professors, teacher assistants, and perhaps your classmates who is currently having the same period with you. So yeah, I do believe that these experiences changed me drastically, and it actually inspired me to change the world around me because I think, when you have that kind of paper released and written down, you are actually trying to like trying to pass on a message that you are trying to express. And when others see your paper, when the teachers, the professors, the classmates all around you saw your papers, they will not only be astonished, but they will also trying to do the same thing on their own because they know that for a for for seniors high school students, they need to, you know, finally write something similar um, to that when they graduate from the university. So I think, yeah, I mean, doing these things really made me a more comprehensive person, and I am determined to pass on these things to others and let the entire um, community of mine become more holistic and perhaps a little bit more academic because I am academic to some extent. Yeah.
That's such a lovely, inspiring answer. Thank you. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
thank you.
brilliant to hear that it's had such an impact on you. And it leads on really nicely to my next question, which is what was your experience like of working with a professor who's a specialist in this subject? And how did you find, I presume it was your first time working in that kind of academic environment with a specialist. And I wonder what your experience of that was, and perhaps anything in particular that you found impactful from that relationship.
Oh yeah, I think I am a little bit personable in terms of my own characteristic and disposition. So I quickly established a um close relationship with TA and the professor. I think I want to just pay my attribution to my um honorable doctor or Professor Manolis, who actually guided me so long and so patiently that he solved almost each and every of my questions with his utmost um sorry with his utmost passion. So I think yeah, he's he's really a nice man. I mean, um he knows so much, but what really made me feel that he is the best professor that I had ever seen is that actually he is really willing to teach each, each and every bit of what he really knows on that topic to us, and with no anything remained. And I think that this is something that has really um astonished me for a long time. Yeah, and I believe that during the first session, um we did a self-introduction. I did a self-introduction with the professor because due to a timetable error, actually nobody else came to the research at that time. So the entire online classroom were just me and the professor. So we chatted for perhaps some half an hour, and we talk about why you come to here and how is you being lectured from thousands of tons of um similar contestants, and yeah, that sort of things really made me and the professor closer, and then we started to build some extent of emotional connections as we going on to the lessons, going on to the readings that he assigned to me, and going on to the specific one-to-one guidances that he actually give us regarding the paper. Yeah. And another person is my TA, Mike, or Michael, Michael Murphy. Yeah. Mike is really another nice person who actually taught me a lot of things about how to conduct a research. So in my school I study psychology, and in the curriculum of my psychology there is something related to research methods. So I thought that I already learned that kind of things. Then why am I going to repeat that with Mike? But Mike really told me that okay, it's something completely different. When you are trying to conduct a psychological research, it is not that kind of things. But when you are trying to write something that is kind of qualitative, then it uses another set of regulations and research methods. So I really broadened my view regarding how to conduct a a qualitative research with Mike, and he also gave me many different um, kind of advice or suggestions regarding my paper. But the difference between what he gave me and Manuel's tell me is that Manuel is actually just suggest me more on how to improve the content themselves. But Mike would focus more on on the whole structure of how you should actually structure the entire essay or paper to make it more academic, more formal, that sort of things. And I have never written that similar things before. So I think for both sides, the manualist thing and um, the research methods and the structure from Mike are both very helpful for me.
Wow, that sounds like a really enriching rapport that you had with both Manolus and with Mike, and it sounds like they
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
complemented your research in
I
two different
believe so.
ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. And so that was such a positive experience working with the professors. What was your how did you find working with other people who were taking the same course as you? I'm assuming you said there were other students also involved in this course. I wonder how you found the experience of CCIR socially.
Oh yeah. Um. Well, something that is quite interesting is that we actually have four students who are being elected um to get the qualification of being a CCR student. But the condition is that for most of the time, the other two students are absent because of their works and study, so they're unable to attend most of the sessions. But I think they're still figuring out how to write their essays. Yeah. But for the most of the time, I believe 7% or 80%, I work with a um American Korean named Emma. Um, and I think she is another person who actually ignited my willingness to have a little competition with her because um, her research is kind of interesting. She researches a comparative study between the um, I think it's the comparative study between the Spanish and Korean migration policy. Yeah. And I
Wow,
was
very
kind of
niche.
keen on that topics too. So I think, okay, no, Emma, I'm just trying to beat you. And I am trying to improve every bit of my essay just to make sure that every time I get on the class, medalists can give me more advice and more appraisals. Yeah, so that's basically my mindset at the time. But I have to say that Emma, I have completely um nothing against you. I'm just saying that you're also very talented and well-rounded. But I believe that I think we are all talented, and the thing is that I'm trying to compete with you guys to make you um progress with me. Yeah, so that's my original thoughts. But yeah, I mean, before we conduct the research, Emma is also very um a very good mate when researching because her level of research is also very high and she is very academic too. So I think if we can meet offline, we definitely have too much to talk about. But unfortunately, I think I'm not currently in China mainland, and she is probably somewhere in Korea or America. So we have absolutely no possibility of meeting each other. But I mean, if we have the time to chat between us, I think that'll be a really good experience. I think CCR is a perfect place to um find different kinds of friends that you are um that you maybe found very interested in.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. It sounds like there's definitely some healthy competition going on between you and Emma.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm competitive actually.
well, it's wonderful. I mean, it very much speaks to the broader university experience in general that, it's not
Yeah,
only
yeah,
the
yeah.
specialists in the subject that you meet, but your peers around you who encourage you to learn and you can learn from each other. And who knows,
Yeah,
maybe one
kind of
day you and
peer
Emma will
pressure,
be able to, yeah, yeah, a bit
Yeah.
of peer pressure. Hopefully maybe one day you and Emma could do some projects
Yeah, yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
future.
Sure.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so I wonder if you could just talk a bit about how you discovered CCIR in the first place and what your application process was like and how you found it.
Oh. Yeah, that was kind of interesting because I think earlier in this year, um I mean in the first quarter of the entire year, I think I attended the Rethink essay competition. The result itself is not that astonishing. It's just average. But most importantly, um, the guys from the Rethink competition organized by Cambridge, they sent me a email saying that, "How about can you please maybe try to give it a shot to apply to CCIR, which is another top tier research program that Cambridge also hosts." And I think you will maybe grow a lot and learn a lot in this particular activity or event. Yeah, they said to me in the email like that, but and then I was instantly recognize that big logo of CCIR, and then I said, okay, Cambridge Center for International Research. Oh, quite interesting. I'm going to try this. And then I just try to apply it. I written my I just then wrote my um like kind of personal statement, if you're ready to say so. But yeah, it's a kind of long introduction and how you are going to express the strengths of yourself. And yeah, that is the case. In that essay, short essay or personal statement, actually, I did not mention too much about politics because
Mhm.
my original intention was to apply for philosophy because my
Okay.
future major will probably be philosophy or that kind of things because I'm more interested in that. Um, and then I just wrote many on my philosophy experiences, and after that, I just received something from the CCIR informing that okay, you passed the CCIR's first round of election, and next you are going to have a interview with a professor, and this professor is going to determine would you stay in CCIR or not. And then I just found this um professor of philosophy. I had a pretty good chat with him, and finally he let me through. But I believe that why finally I'm not in the philosophy course was that probably believe philosophy that philosophy kind of thing that philosophy topic is actually related to the other subjects like neuroscience and psychology. So it might be a little bit too popular to apply for, and you know that CCR actually do not want too many students to attend one research. There will be perhaps some 6 max or 5 max. I didn't remember. So yeah, so I believe that because I applied for CCR quite late, I think maybe that course of philosophy already reached the limit of students. So I just tumbling down the order from my first intention to my sixth intention of my course choice. Yeah, but anyway, that was not that unlucky. I thought that I mean it was going to tumbling down from from 1 to 6, but what really made me lucky is that the the changing world topic was at my fifth, so it does not necessarily need to go to the end of my intentionality. Yeah, so yeah, basically that was how I was very luckily being selected as a student of CCIR, and I think that particular process of application is something that I would not forget for my entire life because CCIR is so hard to apply, you know.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible thing to have made it this far, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you should be very proud. Um, I wonder, so you seem to have had an overwhelmingly positive experience with CCIR. Would were there any challenges that arose? I mean, I'm sure it can't have been a completely smooth journey, and there would have been some challenges along the way. But I wonder if you could enlighten us about any difficulties you faced and how you overcame them.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think there is one difficulty relating to the readings and the materials that I prepared for my research. So, um, the first one is about the reading. But every time before class, Menelaus will send us three or two readings, um, which is perhaps some books or some thesis or some papers, essays, related to the thing that he is going to cover in that session. But we are always too busy to read the entire book or thesis because they're very long, and um, we got no time to read it because I'm going to deal with my homework so frequently. So yeah, so how to balance the in-school study and how to balance the CCIR one becomes one essential problem um that stopped me from going it all the way very
Yeah.
smoothly. So I think this is one of the main thing, which is you need to kind of balance between your study and your CCIR. And the other thing is that the reading and the materials, the essays and the status that Mel sent me in order to help me prepare for my research was a bit hard for me to understand somehow because um, there are a lot of different kinds of theories proposed to explain how mobility can be changed and how, in theory, kind of different impacts can be observed or can be predicted. And these things are something I will never learn, even I can attend school for 1,000 years. So, I mean, it is completely different between what you study in school and what you study in a CCIR. You know, if you are not majoring, if you are not have a major in politics, in sociology, or something like demographics sort of things, you will never ever learn these complicated models in your life. Yeah, so that is basically that case. So it really, really, really made me feel annoyed somehow. And to tell you more, I'm bad at math, but the craziest thing is that some proof requires the knowledge of calculus. And I was exhausted. I gave up, you know. When I faced that long expression written in integration, I was like, oh my gosh, you tell me that I need calculus to understand that? No way. And I just put it away. So there is something that is to help me to understand both mathematically and something that is related to the model from a from a professional point of view. But yeah, finally with the assistance of the other online resources and a little bit of ChatGPT, I understood all of them. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a really hard journey. I spend most of my weekends coping with these things. So it was a really, really, really incredible journey.
Wow. Yeah. Sounds exhausting. I mean, it's a common experience, I think, when you're faced with such sort of dense academic literature
Yeah.
and you have, a project that
Yeah.
you really want to do and you want to do it to the best of your ability. It's definitely a learning curve in terms of learning your own limitations and knowing where to draw the line. But yeah, thank you for sharing. That's interesting. Okay, I
Yeah,
just
you're
have
welcome.
one final question for you, and then I can
Okay.
let you go. So if you were to speak to somebody in your position before applying to CCIR, what would be your advice to them? Do you have any hints or tips for somebody who's considering applying and or going through the application process?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think. to sum up in one word, that would be absolutely 100% prepared, because you can never um you can never assume that CCR is something that is going to do you kind. Sometimes it will do you harm if you're not prepared. So I would say that it is really hard for me to apply that, because yeah, I didn't actually got what I truly want, the philosophy one. But the politics and sociology one is also very fascinating, because yeah, but that's not the case that I want to talk about. Like, if you wanted to apply for CCIR, I think the most important thing will be demonstrate your academic excellence in the particular field that you are going to apply for. So, for example, if you are trying to apply for something like philosophy, then you'd better to list some awards or some experience or some books that you read in the domain of philosophy. If you're trying to like apply for something related to politics, to sociology, then you can just say that you have some past papers produced by you solely, and you are the first author, or sometimes the only author, so that those people can actually get a sense that, oh, this kid is very talented, and he or she got a excellent understanding of what he or she is going to apply for. And I think it is better to, um, let him or her through. So this is the most important thing. You need to demonstrate your expertise in that particular field. Very similar to what you are going to do before applying for British
Yeah,
universities.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Just the
speaking,
same. Yeah.
yeah, speaking of which, do you think you will consider applying to British universities?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, Oxbridge is always my dream, and
Yeah,
if I can get into the Faculty of Philosophy one day in Oxbridge, I'll be absolutely delighted and over the moon. Yeah,
yeah.
that's my ultimate goal. So for now, yeah,
Oh,
my ultimate goal. Yeah.
well, I wish you absolutely all the best in your
Thank you so
application
much.
to
No,
Oxford and in
yeah.
yeah, any future endeavour. It's been fascinating talking to you and an absolute pleasure.